Okay, seventh grade. Let me first apologize for my printer in the background. I hope it is not too distracting, but I've got to do this and print at the same time for right now. So we're going to go ahead and jump into Unit 1, Lesson 9. Today, you're going to continue to think about the ways people, ideas, and events interact in an epidemic. Before we get into the meat of the lesson, you're going to do your entrance ticket. So this is Unit 1, Lesson 9. It will probably not be on page 47 of your workbook, but it is the same questions, okay? They just might be in a different place in the book. So I want for you to work individually through this. And once you guys have finished, I'd like for you to have a discussion as a class. So go ahead and pause the video and begin to work through your entrance ticket now. Okay, guys, so I trust at this time that you've worked through your entrance ticket and you've shared it out loud as a class, you've talked about it, and you've had some discussion. So number 1 gives you an excerpt from the text, and it asks you, what is the meaning of the phrase gets a foothold as it appears in this sentence? You should have said A, starts to spread. Part B says, what is the effect of using this phrase in the sentence? So otherwise, in other words, what effect does this have on the readers? How does it make you feel? The correct answer here is C. It makes the disease more frightening by comparing it to a person or animal. All right, guys, so that is our entrance ticket for today. Let's look at our learning targets. The first one, I can analyze the impact of a specific word choice on meaning and tone. The next 2, I can identify key individuals, events, and ideas in a text. And the last one, I can analyze how individuals, ideas, and events interact with one another. I would like for you to add gets a foothold from our entrance ticket to your vocabulary log today. So go ahead and pause the video now and let's work to do that. All right, guys, we're going to move into work time A. So today you're going to read pages 45 through 46, 48, and 50 and 51. So I'm going to ask that you go ahead and pause the video now and you get through the reading. However, your teacher wants you to do that, whether it's individually with a partner or as a whole class read. So go ahead and pause the video and let's start reading now. All right, guys, so now that you have read those pages, maybe you've talked about it a little bit as a class, I want for you to go ahead and add a gist for this section to your gist log for today. So what is the gist of these pages that you read? What is it mostly about? Okay, guys, if you've not had a chance, go ahead and pause the video and share your gist with an elbow partner, and then maybe the teacher can take some volunteers and some of you can share out as a whole class. All right, so an example of a gist for this particular section might sound something like Snow invented mapping and shoe leather method. Okay, simple, less than 20 words, easy sentence. So I thank you guys for doing that. So now we're going to move into work time B, which takes your reading and it asks you to analyze the interactions among the individuals. So the individuals, the events, and the ideas you read about today, how did they interact? How did they all come together in the end? So again, this might not be on page 43 and 44 in your new student workbook, but it is going to be called Solve Patient Zero, Chapter 2 Note Catcher. And so you're going to use this note catcher to keep track of the reading done in preparation for this text-based discussion that we're going to have at the end of this unit. So let me pull mine up as well. So we're mainly focusing today on pages 51 through 54. I want to make sure that we're clear about that, okay? And so as we're preparing for this text-based discussion, remember our prompt is up there in bold. How do the events and key individuals in this excerpt interact to change our ideas about disease? So remember, as you fill out this flow chart, you have to consider, how do the events and ideas surrounding epidemics affect the individual? And how does the individual affect the events and ideas? So this is a 4-page graphic organizer here. I'm going to ask that we pause the video at this time and we work independently to fill this out and to complete this. And then I think when we're done with that, I'm going to ask that we come back together and you guys can talk about this as a class. You can share out some of the questions that you still may have, and you can talk about the ideas before, major events during, and key individuals, and then you can talk about the events after the cholera epidemic. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video now and let's work through this graphic organizer. All right, guys. So small group discussion here. I want you guys to just have a class discussion about new events, actions, or ideas that you discovered in today's excerpt. So go ahead and pause the video and let's work through that now. All right, guys, I've got a few questions, and I want, as we work through these questions, I want you to turn and talk first, and then you'll share out loud as a class. So, how did discovering Francis Lewis's death certificate on page 51 influence Whitehead's ideas about the epidemic? And what language does the author use on page 51 to convey the importance of this discovery to Whitehead? So go ahead and pause the video now, turn and talk, and then you guys can share out as a class. Okay, guys, and last question, I want you to turn and talk first and then share out as a class. How do the tools of the trade sections on page 50 and 52 show how John Snow's actions and ideas continue to be influential today? That's very important. So go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, our last component for today is the closing, and you guys are going to look at a constructed response and you're going to critique it, or we're going to look at a whole group constructed response technique. Okay, so the criteria of an effective constructed response: the topic sentence uses keywords from the question, statements are included that answer the question, evidence from the text supports the ideas in the statements, sentences are included that explain the evidence, and the concluding sentence includes keywords from the question and restates the answer. All right, so I want you guys just to have a little bit of discussion about what I just shared with you. So turn and talk to a partner. What are the criteria of an effective constructed response paragraph? Okay, guys, so now what I want you to do is I want you to apply that criteria that we went over, and with a partner, an elbow partner, I want you to read this constructed response and critique it. Did they do all the things that the anchor chart said that they needed to do? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Your teacher can leave this up as your closing activity. You guys are going to remember, work through this as a partner, read this response, and compare it to the criteria. Did it meet the criteria? I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'll see you guys again very soon.